Today we are going to be going over AutoTrac setup and AB line creation on an 1800 Greenstar display. You notice on the bottom right hand side of your screen you have your AutoTrac pie. You do need all 4 pieces of the pie to be filled in order to use AutoTrac. Let's go ahead and see what we need. So let's go to J and then to D. So this is our AutoTrac Diagnostic Readings. You notice the first piece of the pie was filled in, so all those things on the right-hand side are yes, yes, yes. SF2 activation or license is active. Looks like our guidance is off, so that's something we'll be changing to get the second piece of our pie. You can also go and check your start by a receiver. You have to make sure that your receiver is active and that you have a correction mode. So yeah, we're on SF2, your TCM is calibrated, and that it is actually turned on. So you can also go to setup, info, make sure that your accuracy is 100%, your GPS signal is 90, looks great. Let's go back to home, and let's go to J again. We're going to go to setup. There's 2 different modes of setup wizard. You have basic setup and standard setup. Your basic setup is just a quick setup, good for a straight track, and a lot of your other information will default. Your standard setup mode is a mode we highly recommend. You can create and save fields in here. So if you're going to be using RTK and you want to come back to that same line that you planted on, you want to cultivate on that same line, you're going to want to set up in standard setup mode. You can also do curve track and documentation, among a few other things. So let's go ahead and do standard. So you can put your machine in here, machine type. They have some that are already populated. Once you select that, a lot of this information will auto-populate. So let's continue. So some of this information is already entered in here. If you do need to remeasure, the tips on the left-hand side can help you out with that. There's also a lot more helpful information in this manual, the 1800 manual, that will come with your display. So let's continue. Implement type. If you don't have an implement type, just keep it at other. If you do, go ahead and enter that in here, and it will save your implement type so you can pull them up in the future. You can save them by the name at the bottom. Let's continue. Implement offsets. Again, little tips on the left-hand side. You can enter in your offsets right there. Let's say that you wanted a foot of overlap. So your implement width is actually 30 feet, but if you want a foot of overlap, you would enter in 29.5. So one pass, that's half a foot. You come back around, and that's another half a foot. So get a nice 1 foot overlap. So let's continue. You can also get more precise if you enter in the number of rows. I've read that that's a lot better to do. So if you do have that information, please enter that in. Just makes your precision agriculture a lot more precise. So let's go to F. Recording source. So this is just a manual recording source. You also have a closed implement switch and your open implement switch. So I like to keep it at this one. That's fine. A lot of the time, I'll see guys that have their recording on. They don't know how to turn it off. All they need to do is go into your standard setup mode and turn that off. So this is our issue, that our documentation was off. So let's go and change this to, actually, sorry, we're not going to be doing documentation today, but if you like, you can go ahead and pick a task and continue filling that in. We'll go over that in another class. Let's continue to F. Client farm field, this is what I was talking about. If you do want to save your field name, you can save your AB lines to a specific field, client farm or field. So let's go ahead and enter that information. Oops. I'm just going to do some that are already in here, just for the sake of time. Let's continue. So our guidance is off. This is what I was talking about. So this is our second piece of the pie that will turn on. So straight track is the most common of all the tracks. It is if your rows are straight and they do not vary. If they do, you could either select AB curves, which is going to be a continuous curved line, or you have adaptive curves, which is where you know that your path ahead of you will vary, like a tree or a barn or something like that. Circle track, this is used for center pivots, so you do need a pivot for activation as well as an AutoTrac activation to use circle track. Row finder, usually used with combines. It's if your rows are unequally spaced. Let's go ahead and select straight track. Let's create a new track, just so you can see how to create an AB line. So let's do A, C, D. All right, so our first position A, you can drive to your first spot. So start of the field, let's go ahead and stop right there. Let's set A. You could either do that by driving to your A spot, setting A, or by entering the longitude and latitude. So in order to set B, you can either drive to the end of the field, which we mostly recommend, it's the most accurate. You have Auto B, where you have to drive at least 15 meters. Then you're able to set your Auto B, will give you a line from that data that it collected, the 5 data points. Or you can do H, which is your heading. So if you know your fields are 180 degrees, go ahead and enter that in. Usually driving to the end of the field is one of the easiest. So let's speed it up a little bit. And we're going to stop. And let's set B. Perfect. These are our lines. Great. All right, so some of these buttons on here, in order to get the third piece of the pie, you do need to have your AutoTrac button switched on. So third piece of the pie. The fourth piece of the pie is your resume switch. It looks like a coat hanger, kind of like that guy right there. It can be located on the armrest, the multifunction handle. Just look around the cab. Every machine is different. If you look in this manual, or in the machine manual, you will find where that switch is if you can't figure it out yourself. So, all right. So you also have your shift tracks. So down at the bottom, if you're using like SF2, sometimes the satellites tend to shift your tracks a little bit. Satellites are moving. RTK is stationary in a triangulated position. So if you do have RTK, you have repeatability, and you can come back to those same lines. You can plant on the same lines you cultivate on, so vice versa. So, so this is for, here, let's go to each really quick. Okay, and let's make sure to turn these on. Small shifts, all right. Okay. So you have your shifts. So the left shift will shift all of these lines to the left. Right shift will shift all the lines. You can delete your shifts, H, or you can recenter them, G. And that's usually used if you have SF2 or SF1. So let's go back to guidance. If you go back to guidance, you're able to change the tracking mode. You're able to delete tracks. You're able to edit tracks. And again, delete shifts. So it's just a little fast key that takes you back, and you're able to change things pretty quick. So let's go back to J, and we're going to go to setup. I'm just going to show you basic setup really quick. So again, this lets you just change your implement information, your reporting source, track type, and again, if you needed to create those AB lines, you would recreate them right there. So it's just a quicker way of doing things. If you have all your information entered in there, then you don't need to go through that every time, but I always recommend standard. So again, I'm just kind of going through here. Let's check out the settings. This is your AutoTrac sensitivity. So the higher the number, the more aggressive your AutoTrac will be. The lower the number, the less aggressive it'll be. So you can try messing with those if you need to. So in the G, of course, just changes the way you view this map right here. So you can just mess around with these. I like this view. So let's go back to J, previous, and our home screen. So yeah, it looks like we're ready to run. Recording source at the bottom if I'd like to press it on, but I think I told you guys we're not going to be recording today, so always an option, but for now it's going to be turned off. So let me press my resume switch and we'll be ready to go. Our white line is the line that we're currently on. So all right, cool, we are tracking. All right, thanks so much, guys. If you have any questions, please let someone at our dealership know. We can always make more videos. We're always looking for feedback. We appreciate your business. Thank you so much.